Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Madcapper. This is another video on Watcher of Realms. Today I would like to talk to you about an epic healer that is often overlooked or overshadowed by the other healers in the game, but with a change that happened a few months ago, she's found new life and new ability, and she has a special ability that none of the others have, and it's something that we should talk about. So without further ado, why don't we talk about Nissandei. All right, first thing we should talk about when talking about Nissandei, of course, is her outfit, her promotion, her attributes, her gear, her skills, her awakenings, and of course, what artifact we're using on her. This is Nissandei. First of all, I think she looks kind of cool. I'm glad that she's getting more use in the game. She had not previously. She was kind of like the lesser of some of the other healers, and with one simple change, she's become a much better champion. She's already one of the best champions. I don't have video footage on it, but she's one of the best champions for faction war trials for her faction, which is the Star Piercers. She is, in my estimation, one of the key critical components of beating this faction, especially the first time without the power of dominance. And I'll talk about that in a second. Unfortunately, I didn't see who's today's faction. Oh my god, open today. We'll start with that. I see. That is crazy that it just happens to be. That was not planned. I planned for this video to be today, but didn't realize that was going to be the faction trial. So we'll run through that faction trial as well, and I'll show a couple other areas of the game that she is incredibly useful, and talk about some of the problems that she presents when trying to use her in these areas. So let's get back to Nissandei herself, and we'll talk about her. Why I don't just do a little heart here so we can find her easier. That's a great idea. Thanks. I'm glad I thought of it. So first off, she is an AoE heal. She is a defensive dispel and ally buff. The key here is that defensive dispel has been added to her kit a few months back, maybe a lot of months back, giving her an effective way to dispel poisons, which again opens up the areas she can be used in. Not everyone has Elowen, not everyone can use Elowen, and this Nissandei actually has a few little tweaks that make her in situationally better than using Elowen. And of course, in the fact of faction trials, you can't use Elowen. She's a different faction. So many different areas that this champion may be of use to you. Obviously, she's kind of outpaced by some of the better legendary healers, but definitely still, I think, in my opinion, has a niche in this game that you may not be aware of because you've kind of already glossed over the areas where she would be most useful. Her promotions, basic attributes, everything going on. We don't normally go through this, so I don't think why I will here. As far as gear, I am using a morale set on her. That's more me just trying to use a morale set, so it's really just an opportunity to put her in a morale set along with a warlord set to give her that extra attack and extra speed, which does help her effective heal. And of course, attack directly. Her heal is an attack-based heal. The stats we have her, we'll take a look at. Total attributes, she's at 13,454 attack, 22,857 HP. We'll get back to that in a moment because that's kind of one of the key detractors to using her. Her attack interval is down to 1.7 seconds with, of course, a healing effect we have at 169 rage regen, 83.5. That rage regen is important, but even then, a second kind of detraction from her in using her, at least something you need to be made aware of if you're going to use her in the various areas that we're going to talk about. Her talents, she's got no talent. She's got 3 skills. She's very easy to skill up. Her ultimate, 1100 cost, 700 initial rage, initial rage. I guess I was trying to add to that. 25-second duration. When triggered, increases the hero's healing multiplier by 20%, immediately heals all allies in range one time, and dispels all debuffs from them. For 25 seconds after the heal, each basic attack turns into a healing ball that can bounce 4 times. So her AoE healing is in a bounce. So it bounces from the first heal to second, third, fourth, and so on. This is very important for the faction trials, and I'll show you where we use her there. And then she gets extra bounces and healers. So she starts with, I believe, 3 bounces. She gets the 4th bounce at level 3. She also gets more initial rage and reduced skill cost at 3 and 5, and 2 healing multipliers to that initial increase from 10 to 15, and then finally 20. And then Awakening 5 we'll talk a little bit more, a little more often when we talk about Awakenings. Her basic is an attack-based heal to one ally in range, keeping in mind that that does bounce. So that's an important piece. She also inflicts attack speed increase on all heroes within the attack range every 40 seconds. And it's a 12-second boost, which is increased 4 seconds by Awakening and 4 seconds by the skills. So that's obviously an added bonus. I don't know if it's something you can rely on, obviously, 40 seconds with the increased attack speed. Though keep in mind that you're getting that extra attack speed of 50. That's going to be good for long sustained fights where it's just giving your allies an extra attack. It's giving them extra damages on the target, specifically in boss fights, which is a foreshadow to where she might be used. As far as her awakenings go, Awakening 1 gives her that mania duration of 4 seconds. And then Awakening 2 is just health. Awakening 3, when on the field, increases attack speed for all deployed heroes by 30. So this is something I had forgotten about because it's not something you readily notice in the descriptions. But you want to put her last so that everyone in that, everyone on the field immediately gets attack speed of plus 30, which is actually a pretty phenomenal skill when you're looking at some of the areas she can be used. And then she gets the attack 5% and Awakening 5. Triggers Mania when casting the ultimate skill Chain of Healing. So it automatically triggers the attack speed of all people in her range, which is what Mania does, the passive, when you deploy her ultimate. So that's another very strong awakening. Being an epic, she's a lot easier to awaken. We are also using her with even more attack speed because it seems to lean into it. You could make the argument, definitely the Golden Scarab, which increases her attack and then increases rage regen. You could argue that that might be as good, maybe even better depending. But we are definitely using her on the Euphoric Orb, which gives all heroes in range an increase of 30 every 60 seconds for 40 seconds. So this is more attack speed. Given the timings issue with her, because her ultimate is expensive and it does last 25 seconds, which is a bit of a problem, or can be a bit of a problem. Because of that, maybe the Golden Scarab in certain areas might be the better way to go. Just keep that in mind. Depending on where you're using her, you may wish to use a Golden Scarab instead. I think those are the two most common. Yeah, you could use Keen Wisdom. The other healing ones, she is a primary healer. She's not like others that are small healers. She does heal a considerable amount. So yeah, increasing healing multiplier is okay when healing a hero less than 40%. I just think that you're getting more consistent output or throughput with Euphoric, and especially with the Scarab. So I'll leave that up to you to decide which one to use. But that's where we are with all of her kit. Now, let's take her into 3 areas where I think you may be able to find value and use within her. Okay, we get it. Okay, pop-up time. Here we go. Let's go into Faction Trial, because this is where she was useful, not necessarily because of the Dispel, but because of just her kit and what it is able to do. And this is the team I used. I'm just going to randomly assume they all have the right gear on them. I'm sure they don't. Actually, I better not do that because I think he's always missing gear because I so rarely care. 18. Sure, we'll just do this. Now, we're using Aspen here as a tank. There's not a lot of options in this group, so I'm going to try to remember the order of events here, and we'll talk about what makes Nissandei so incredibly special for this event. We're going to start with you. Yes. No, we're going to start with you here. Okay. That was probably the wrong one. Let me restart this. I can never remember how these things go. It's been so long. I should have just autoed this, but that's okay. We're going to remember. We could put Alora here to get some initial hits in. Let's do that. Yes, there's a reason why I'm putting Alora there. No, you don't need to worry about it. So we're going to put Aspen here, and he's going to protect this. Actually, I don't even think we needed Allura first. I might have to change that. So the second one we're going to put in is to assist. I don't know if he has his proper gear on, so we might have to redo this. We'll see how this works. If he goes through... Okay, so he is wearing the proper thing. Now, we're going to put Nissandei down, and you're going to see, oh my god, she can't reach. But this is the great glory of this group, is that her range is also extended. And so now she can actually reach Aspen to heal, which means she can effectively heal the entire group of possibly being hit champions, which is not something you necessarily get. I'm trying to remember who should be next here. We're going to put you here because I feel like that's the one. So Nyx here, she's just going to be AoE, get that splash damage, kill these things quicker. It's more important for the next group than this group. I'm also going to start that off because I'm a little bit concerned about timings here on those coming in. I'm going to put Hex here. We could even speed this up. We don't need to... we're going to put Livian here, who, and I don't even know if she has gear, so let's hope. We can probably now put you here. No, she looks pretty good for... We're going to trigger Hex here to take care of these two up top. And we're going to trigger our Silas here. Meanwhile, I mean, the main important thing to take here, the main takeaway here, is that you are getting full coverage out of Nissandei on that heal range. The rest of this is just if you have the champions and you have the damage, you can definitely make use of this. The reason why I put Allura here is because she's invisible. I forgot you shouldn't use her ultimate here because he's going to put her in a web if she's in range, and we're actually going to use her as a bait when it comes time to actually killing this guy. I can also do this if I'm worried about Livian. I can use her ultimate, which is going to heal everyone a little bit quicker. We can pop Silas now, and he's going to make short work of these silly fools. And then we're going to pop Hex, who's it looks like it doesn't need to, but why not? We're going to get some extra damage here, which is nice too. As soon as they're in range, of course, these are the bane of this, which is why you want this AoE damage. Allura's ability, I would imagine you could use Allura up in this spot if you didn't have a Nyx. Nyx is obviously best in class. And then there's a couple epics you could use. Maul, I believe he's one of these guys. I can't even remember now. But just making sure that you're... okay, I'm going to pop her ultimate. There's our Silas. We'll pop you. And then we'll finish it up by killing the boss. See, now here's what happens. Normally, I would bait that out by clicking her so that he doesn't get webbed. I don't know if that'll still work. We'll find out. By the way, all these ones, this is the last, obviously, boss. You can actually lift them all. And what I'll do is I'll point him this way, and I'll point her this way just to help do the damage. The more the merrier, as they say. See, he still keeps getting it because she's... Now, we could use Dispel next time that happens. I don't know if that works for this mob, but we won't get a chance to see it. So there you go. Easy first one. It's just that ability to heal that far row. So she's basically one healer, can cover the whole spread. And that's how you complete the faction trials for the piercers. So there you go. That's place number 1. Place number 2 I actually did yesterday. So I'm going to bring up a video of it. And that is in the Nightmare Void Rift. So this is the Nightmare Void Rift that has Araka as your enemy. And we'll just play this through. Again, you're going to need a tank. Now tanks will take that's falling stone. So you need to make sure that there's no one around. But again, what we're doing here is we're using the ability to cover. Now, the best in class is Elwyn sitting in this little spot here, this tile here. But because we're trying to show without Elwyn, we're using her. She can cover that spot. She's healing for 30k. Like, it's not a hard heal spot. And she also can cover the secondary part, which is the... We'll fast forward this a bit to when she drops the second piece here. This does change it up. Normally, I like having Hex in that tile where she's standing, and that does expose Hex to the poisons. But I put a second healer down in order to keep him in order to keep Hex alive. And this is just actually an easier way of doing it, I think. You have the opportunity here of see, now the poisons are down, and she has that dispel, the same as everyone and anyone else. So it gives you a good opportunity here. Now, Abomination's actually going to get absolutely wrecked here once the mini boss comes down. So we are going to put our and I could probably use, I can't even remember his name, Rourke. I could probably just use him. I think he'd be survivable in that spot. But you know, here it is. And the whole thing is these two are fighters, so they don't get the falling stones, and that's important because otherwise you're going to. So he gets wrecked right away. But our boy Rourke, I'm sure it's Rourke, does absolutely able to take that punch a little bit harder. He, of course, gives himself shields. She can heal him up so that he can take those 80, I think it's 80% of his health on that second one, or 70% of his health, but not a problem. And, of course, you just, again, there's the poison again. And, again, as soon as it comes back up, look, we can cleanse it, and everyone's good, and everything is great in the world. And if we keep running through, there's one more time when that's going to happen. And that's right after this falling stone. She's going to come up a little closer. She's going to use the deathly, it's called Deathly Screech. And one last time, she can then purge the Deathly Screech and allow us to finish up this encounter and kill her with our Silas and Hex absolutely doing bonkers damage. So there's place number 2 that Nissandei can arguably be used. She's not best in class for this encounter, but not everyone has Elwyn. So there you go, an opportunity there to use Nissandei in that position. Now the final place, if we disappear this, and I'm going to get rid of it on my screen as well, is, and now don't get me wrong, there's other places she could probably be used. If you need a healer, you've invested in her, and you need that length of heal. The key attributes is she dispels, and she has the farthest length of heal when you're using a Piercer Lord. So you have to have one of the epic or legendary Piercer Lords in order to get that extra tile. Without that, it makes her usability kind of in line with some of the other weaker healers of epic variety, because she doesn't have the kind of triangle or pyramid thing that, for example, vortex range, we call it. She doesn't have that vortex range, but she does have that 5th tile when she's on a Lord team. So that's kind of when you have to use her. And the third place we would be able to use her is in Semra. There is a huge asterisk to using her in Semra. First off, I don't recommend using her in Apocalypse 2 if you're going for that 120. She doesn't have enough survivability. Her base health is way too low. And if you get her base health into that 35k range with some reasonable defense for survivability, then you run the risk of not having high enough heals. So if you have multiple healers and she's a supplementary healer and the dispel, maybe. However, there is a second problem. We'll talk about it when we get there in this fight. We're going to use Nissandei. We play around with different versions, try different things, but we've gone back to kind of our base team on 2, or on sorry, the first one, which is Semra 2. So we're going to go back to the base challenge here. I did, oddly enough, not use Hex in that one, and actually did more damage. So that's a little interesting tidbit that I found out in this last week. But we're, of course, going to be using... Now, this looks good, but this is actually not the way we're going to go, because we have a very strong team with our Infernal Lords, and we are going to want to use Araka to give our extra damage out of Hex and Silas, they're going to be our top 2 damage dealers in this group. And we want to make sure that they're getting the most damage possible. And also, we want Nissandei to have that extra tile, which just makes placement of these teams a little bit easier. Now, We currently have what, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 tile and 4 ground units. So I would rather have another ground unit, which should be pretty easy to attain. We might even go with 2 ground units and see what we got here. Obviously, Zilla 2 we want to place with Hex. And actually, I'm going to put Hex up here to get this damage, the Infernal damage. I think that's just going to help that team a lot more. You could go either way, arguably. So I think we've got 2 healers. Well, two healers is enough for Semra 1. Let's see what we want to do. We could. God, there's a lot of options, folks. Who would you use? Do we have? We have a guaranteed stun and we have a supplementary stun. But our other stunners, we used 2 stunners on the last one. We used Helga and we used Torador. So we could either bring another stunner, but I'm actually very underwhelmed by his level of stuns. I did try a team of him and Torador, and they couldn't really ever get past 6 based on RNG. We could go with another healer, or we could just keep these 2 in the game. I think we're just going to keep these 2. That's a lot of damage. Now, there will come a problem at some point in this, and we'll talk about it. I'm not going to use a traditional inspiration hero, though we have... That's weird that she's not popping up. There we go. Skills-wise, we do have rage regen, sort of, and we do have damage increase from our Leia. I could bring in Dolores and drop one of these, which may... Do we want to do it? Let's see. I switched Dolores out, and I'm having some problems with her, by the way, because her 12% now boost overwrites a 10%, so it makes it really hard to place champions. But we're gonna give this a try. Let's see if she's got enough. She doesn't have nearly enough health. She'll die right away. No, we're gonna have to try it. All right, so we're going to go with this team here. Let's go. Let's get it started. This is probably not the right choice of team, but whatever. It's 30K. Who can't make 30K? So the first guy we're going to put down is you. We're going to get Dolores in there for that 12% that I'm sure will go to someone else because this game loves messing with me. We're going to put you down. We're going to put you down there. You don't need to be in Vig range, but you do. And definitely you do. And then you can go there. And Twin Fiend can go down in this corner. And then Nissandei can cover everyone. Now, she actually will have that extra tile. It's not important here. This is the team we're going to use to... Oh, wait. How did she not go? Oh, my God. Every time. Now, in order to make this work, I do have a lot of extra health on Araka. So that to make sure that Araka is getting some heals. We're going to drop this now. We're going to drop Dolores. We're going to pop everybody's ulti. We were too late on this. We're too late on you two. That's fine. There we go. We don't need Nissandei, so now we can do the... So this is going to do a lot of early damage, which is obviously a good thing. We'll talk about the Nissandei problem, which shouldn't happen on Apocalypse 1 as long as you have enough damage. It shouldn't happen for a bit of time, but there's a point where it's going to start coming back to haunt you, so to speak. It's not going to be in the early. Obviously, we have so much damage on this team. We're barely even taking... We're going to take 1 hit per round by the looks of it. So just... I think the big thing takeaway is make sure you have one of these champions with a little bit more health to take those drops. And for us, Araka is the least important for her damage on this team, so we're going to put her with the most HP. I could argue Twin Fiend because his damage is really coming from his team, not he himself. You could do Leia if you needed to, or even Volca in a pinch. So just kind of keep in mind someone's got to have that. So now we're putting down. He has put down the poison. We're still going to drop some bombs here. And then after that second poison, we're going to cleanse it just like we normally would. Now, we're going to probably kill before that second poison so we can use this. So that won't actually come into play here. Obviously, the dispel is the important thing. She's also got really good heals. So if heals are important to you, you're not going to be disappointed with what you get out of Nissandei. But I think you'll see where the problem lies in the second one. I can actually take this up to 2x. I'm not really that concerned about it. You see, boom, we can, as long as we can take those hits, we can start him early. We can drop his bombs now. And then we can drop you. I don't think, yeah, I was just going to say, we got up to 5 stuns, which, honestly, that's what I was getting with Torador and Hex when they're together. So it really seems like it doesn't truly matter. I'm going to save hers because it looks like we don't really need that. She's kind of an inspiration boost as well with her ultimate. So I want to save that for when we absolutely need it. You know, you're taking some damage here. I would argue it's kind of important to make sure that you're protecting it. There we are with this first round of poisons. And the second round will cleanse. And now we're good. We drop you. We'll drop that. And then we'll drop you. So at this point, we're almost complete. I'm actually going to use this to give him his comeuppance. We'll get in Silas as soon as available. Volca. Incidentally, he is with the 12%. So that's what Dolores gets with her with the new set. Did he get? So he's sitting at a 10%. Okay, so it did work this time. I've had problems on the other where it's actually not letting me. I just killed this trying to explain things, but that's fine. I think this third round we're going to see, assuming we get there, we're going to see where the problem truly lies. I'm going to save hers again. The problem lies in the poison round, and it's kind of one of those things that I'd rather explain it as it's happening. Right, but as far as the heals go, I don't think you're having any problems keeping up when it comes to this this group. Right, they're having no problems with the heals. It's right here. So the first poison goes down. And then the second poison comes down. Now, we have a case where... Oh, well, Dolores died. We knew she was going to die eventually. That's fine. Okay, so the second poison didn't come down. But you see, he would have put 2 more poisons down. She hasn't even finished her thing. And now she's at 8%. Now, I can boost that. You see there was an initial boost and she's going up there. But that's probably not going to cycle around in time for you to cleanse the second round of dual poisons. And that's where the problem therein lies. You're going to have to find a way to keep them alive till you can cycle her back, or you're going to have to bring in... oops, I didn't mean to use her. You're going to have to bring in a champion that is able to heal or dispel as well. Camille, maybe, because obviously if you have Elowen, you're just using Elowen. You're probably using Elowen on your second team. So part of the deal here is we're not going to get back to her, which is unfortunate. I wanted to kind of show you the problem rather than just explaining it. But again, you're probably just going to have to trust me because it looks like we're not going to be able to get to that that storied location or issue. We will get her back on the field. We will get him back on the field. We'll see if they can survive here. But you saw she dies very easily. So you're going to have to put a ton of health into her, which also means you're probably going to have to sacrifice some of her heals. And is that going to be a problem? Oh, now they're all dying. Okay, now we're in trouble. Nissandei died again. So I'm not going to be able to show you this. I've already gotten past the 30K because I, just blunt force it. But the problem is when you get to the level where you need to, she is not going to be able to cleanse both poisons at the beginning. You get 2 poisons near the beginning of that encounter with the boss 3. Then you have a damage round and then another damage round. And then you get 2 poisons. Those 2 poisons, I think at one point there's actually the laser thing in the middle too. So you're really going to have to worry about the heals as you get into later rounds. especially if you don't have enough damage to do this initially. Um, and I would give these guys more HP so they'd be more survivable than they are. I'm just going to continue and let this. I'll just gonna let this play out and get my key here. I'm not going to bother doing it again. But I guess the overall point being, she isn't able to get back and cycle back to her ultimate in time to cleanse the subsequent rounds of poisons. Eventually, yes, but at the beginning, absolutely not. And that is a problem. That is a big problem that you're going to have to contend with. Like, for example, let's pretend this is her. Now, like, they're just dying too quickly because they got 30 stacks of poisons. And before she even gets a chance to heal them, you see the net result is death. That's what's going to happen to you. So the ways around that is 2 cleansers. You could use her and Camille, for example, to alternate your cleanse. So that way you can keep them alive. And I'm trying to go from the perspective that you don't have Elowen available because maybe you've used her for your first key, or maybe you've used, you don't have Elowen and you're trying to use Nissandei where you need. Let's go to the heroes and we'll talk about her as far as this is concerned, because I think it's an important thing to keep in mind. If you have, it's Pharisee, right? If you have Pharisee, which has a attack base. No, sorry, I say Pharisee and it's Dasomi. Dasomi does have a cleanse, and this cleanse, if the champion has greater than 50% health, is a very strong cleanse. It's how I get easy past the 120 by using these two together. But say you have just him with Nissandei, that would be amazing. That would be a good duo, except the second problem of hers, and that's her health. So you're going to have to bring in a third healer because Dasomi only heals... Dasomi. I'm going to get this right. Dasomi only heals at below 50% health threshold, and she's got good heals. They bounce, but she doesn't have a strong enough cleanse, and she has very low HP. So in order to make her survivable, like he's got 12k, and we can add 21k and still have enough. He doesn't need big, strong attack as compared to the others because he's not healing nearly as much. He's in fact dispelling or putting up shields a lot of that time. Whereas Nissandei, she does have to heal, so we have to have that heal. Now look at that 46-36 base attack is very close to his, but that health is a considerable lower. So if we were going to build her, and we can just we can pretend here, we want to have a healing effect and healing. I see. Obviously I'm not building. I'm building it really dirty too, as you can see, to get that morale. Unequip. A more proper build for her would probably look like this. I'm gonna start over here actually because it's really easy. This gives her some extra health. It gives her HP. Maybe let's just we want, if we can we get attack percent and HP and healing effect? Yes, we can. Not the greatest one, but that'll do. And then we will match that here with salvation, healing effect, crit damage, and attack speed. That's a great attack speed, rage regen, defense bonus. Is there anything with HP? Why would we have one with HP? Why would there be a glowing one with HP? We're going to use this one because it's safer. And then we're probably going to go to a standard invigoration here. What's our base healing? Is at 43. We probably want to have one healing effect. This one does not look like, really? Crit rate? That's a glowing one. We got to talk to them about that. This one looks a little better. At least it's got flat HP. And then the other two, we're probably going to want to go with an HP base secondary attack. We'll see if we can get that. Equip. And equip. So this gives us some survivability, and it still gives us some attack, 11-9. And then I would definitely recommend moving over to, we can steal yours for now. We can do something like this, right? Because that gives us our attack and our rage regen, which is just going to help out there because we don't have a whole lot. Sorry, I clicked out of her. So now we're looking at a champion that at least has 100 and over 100 healing effect. It has decent here, has some survivability. The rage regen is way lower. So if you're relying on her still to dispel, you're probably going to have to bring in a Laurel, which, I mean, is not the worst. I'm sure you can make that work. It's not part of meta, but this whole team isn't a part of meta. So you can bring in Laurel to reset her so that she can cleanse the poisons in subsequent rounds. That might be an option for you. Or if you have a Nissandei with her, I think the two of them would do pretty well. I wouldn't expect 120k level 2, but I think you can use her. So there's my video. Might have been a little bit long-winded. I apologize. But that's kind of where I see Nissandei fitting in this game. She's not your A option. She's your B option. She's Faction Trial A option. She's B option in the Void Rift. Although on that stage, I would say that there's a lot to like about her, I would say. And then, of course, in Apocalypse, building her out, not like an idiot like I had her when I used her, but building her out so that she's got more survivability and she can do some heals is going to be able to get you at least somewhere on that list. And the poisons probably won't be your number one problem. It'll probably be survivability, but at least you have someone additional on your team that can cleanse. Those are my final thoughts. What are your thoughts? Do you use Nissandei? Have you used her? Is this something you didn't realize and you might look at using her to advance your team? Let me know in the comments down below. But of course, as always, what did I end up doing here? As always, Apocalypse 1. See, we got this. Look at that. We came in fourth with that team. Look at that. Oh, look at those two hand in hand like ebony and ivory. So, yeah, I mean, let me know in the comments down below. She actually did a little bit more healing than Leia, so that, just to give you an idea. Yeah, what are your thoughts? Can you use her? Do you think you could use her in this? You can see a couple of the clanmates. I see JD has gone on this Nissandei train, as has Renz, and this is early in the week. But what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments down below. But at this point, it's time to call it a day, so I want to thank you for watching. Please be kind, be safe, and we'll see you in the next video.